Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So today's episode comes to you courtesy of my amazing patrons. Once a month, patrons vote on what commander they want to see in upcoming deck tech, and the commander that gets the most votes wins. And the commander that got the most votes this month is none other than the brutal commander, the Beamtown Bullies. That's right, a 4/4 Ogre Devil Warrior with Vigilance and Haste that costs 4 mana in Jund. Tap. Very simply tap. No, it's not like Command Orc where it's like, hey, add mana. No, this is very brutal, very effective, very amazing, very unique. Target opponent whose turn it is puts target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard on the battlefield under your control. It gains haste, goad it at the beginning of the next end step, exile it. So, hey, here's what's going to happen. We are going to get certain creatures in the graveyard, just certain ones, and then we're going to let our opponents borrow it. Aren't we generous saying, hey, you know what? These creatures, they're not for me, okay? I'm saving them for you. You're welcome. Hey, here you go. Have this creature. That is going to destroy your life. That has so many bad effects that you're going to be like, oh no, why? Why have you given me this creature? And of course, we also have certain other creatures where we can say, you know what? Here, take this massive creature that deals so much damage and go swing it at someone else. Again, the creature is goaded, so go swing it elsewhere, okay? Do my dirty work for me. So either we are having our opponents do our dirty work for us, or we are decimating our opponents by giving them certain creatures that they really don't want. Yeah, this commander is brutally effective, and brutally budget, which is definitely a thing, I guess. $22.87 according to Moxfield. Keep in mind that doesn't include the cost of shipping or basics, but you might already have those basics. Regardless, if you are interested in this budget-friendly deck, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. Now, with all that said, let's jump into the tactics to see all the brutal things that we can do. First up, let's start things off at tactic number 1. Perfect placement, because, yeah, we don't want to just chance getting things in our graveyard sometimes. We want to make sure we go get the exact creature that we want to donate to an opponent. So Lively Dirge is a great card for us. A sorcery with Spree, pay 1 extra mana, go get any card out of your library, put it right into your graveyard, and also I'm sure you can return to 2 creature cards with mana value 4 or less to your graveyard to the battlefield. Pay that extra 2. Sure, that's an option. But what we care about, again, more so is that first part. Tutor out a creature that we want into our graveyard and say, hey, you know what? This one's for you. Next up, Draw's Orders. Go get 2 creature cards. 1 goes in your hand. Lovely for us. And then 1 goes into our graveyard. So it's like a double tutor. And again, perfectly placing a creature there where we can then utilize them. Auric Loremage, though. My goodness, this might be one of the best cards in this deck. Tap Searchlight for a card, put in your graveyard, then shuffle. If it's an instant or sorcery card, put a counter on Auric Loremage. We don't care. We do not care about that counter on Auric Loremage. What we care about, again, is essentially, hey, you know what? Tap, go get the exact creature that we need to get in the graveyard. Cool. We have done that. We get it in the graveyard. We tap our commander on our opponent's turn. We give them that creature, and their life is decimated. Well, not their life, but the game for them is decimated. So, yeah, moving on. Violent Tumor, a great ETB for us. ETB, Searchlight for a card, put the card in your graveyard, then shuffle. So again, a great ETB that we can utilize, get it into play, and all of a sudden, get the right creatures into our graveyard. Corpse Connoisseur, again, an ETB, but this time specifically for a creature card, which is typically what we're going to do with the other ones anyways. Go get that in your graveyard. We can also unearth this to do it again a second time. Speaking of 2 things, though, final parting, kind of like Draw's Orders, but for anything, go get 2 cards. 1 goes in your hand, 1 goes in your graveyard for tutor the exact card that you need. The exact card that you need for the situation you're in. You're saying, I get this one, I need this one, and you need this one in your graveyard. I need this one for you. I need this one for you. And they're like, oh gosh, I just saw they put that creature in the graveyard. No, don't give it to me. Quite fun. Gravebreaker Lamia. Yet another one that can help us out. ETB, go get any card out of your library, put it right in your graveyard. Also, if you're casting spells from your graveyard, they're cheaper, which I guess can come in handy very infrequently, but that's okay. But yeah, tutor something in your graveyard that's exactly what you need. Moving on to tactic number 2, though, fill the yard. And fill the yard we shall with Old Stick Fingers. First of all, this can actually be a pretty heavy hitter for us. It's a star with power and host each equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. We're going to be setting up a lot of creatures in our graveyard, so this can hit pretty hard. But also, it costs X in Golgari colors. When we cast this, reveal cards to the top of our library to reveal X creature cards. All of those go into our graveyard and put the rest bottom of your library in random order. So this can help get a ton of great targets for our commander into our graveyard, and also again be a pretty heavy hitter for us. And then we also have Cemetery Tampering, which can be some great card advantage, and also some advantages out of the graveyard as well. Hideaway 5, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may mill 3 cards. We're going to be doing that. Then if there are 20 or more cards in your graveyard, you may play the exile card without paying its mana cost. So eventually we'll get there. We'll play that card for free, which is lovely. Out of the top 5, that's very nice. But of course, also every single turn, add to our graveyard prowess, add to the amount of cards in our graveyard, add to its power, add to our choices. What's not to love about that? Moving on to our next tactic, though, let's talk about some creatures that, well, we don't want, and our opponents definitely don't want, but they're gonna get them. Fire Drinker Satyr. It has something very bad on it. Well, it's a 2-1 for 1, so there you go, which these days it's like, well, what's the big deal there? But also, hey, by the way, whenever it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to you. And you being, well, not us, because we're not going to put this out in front of us. Why would we do that? No, this is going to our graveyard, and then our commander's going to say, here you go, have a friend. And our opponent's going to be like, oh, no, I have this, and I have to attack with it. Oh, no. When they swing with it, again, an opponent's going to be like, oh, okay, you're swinging at me with that little 2-1. They're not just going to block with 1 creature. You're not just going to say, like, oh, okay, I guess, like, I'll just assign 1 creature to that, like make sure my creature survives and take that one out. No, what I'm going to do is team block. I'll block with everything. I'll block with my entire army. So essentially, again, that player that you donated this to that had to swing with it is swinging this little 2-1 at a player, and that player is like, I block with 30 total power. And that player is like, oh gosh, I lose 30 life. Yeah, there's a reason why this kind of a card, a 1-mana little card like this, can do so much damage to them. The OG version of this, I believe, is actually Jackal Pup. Whenever it's dealt damage, deals that much damage to you. Basically the exact same thing, but without that little like fire-breathing damage thing too. So again, it doesn't really matter. What you're doing is you're giving someone essentially a giant, I'm going to take a bunch of damage creature. In a similar way, Filthy Cur, a 2/2 hound, which probably is a dog these days. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you remember the Oracle tag on this one. Regardless, for 2 mana, whenever it's dealt damage, you lose that much life. A terrible card. Again, absolutely terrible card, but amazing in this deck because, again, you give it to that player, and all of a sudden, they're going to be not having a very good time. I'm going to cheat here, and I'm also including in Ragged Veins in here. This is not a creature cheating to play. It is an aura. You can play it at flash speed, instant speed, I should say. It has flash. Jade creatures dealt damage, controller loses that much life. You can turn any of the creatures that you donate, essentially, to these kind of like Jackal Pup type creatures, where that player is going to be losing a lot of life just for swinging with it. And again, with these goading effects, they have to swing with them. And actually, this, or those other 2, actually, those are the 3, really work well. Something we'll talk about here in a little bit as well. Next up, though, this is so mean. Jagged Poppet. 3/4 Ogre Warrior for 3 mana. Whenever it's dealt damage, this card, that many cards. Oh, goodness gracious. So again, you're giving this to a player, and they're like, oh, I have to attack with it. And all of a sudden, they are blocking, most likely enough, to make that player who swung with it lose their entire hand. Goodbye, hand. Take that. Next up, Plague Reaver. At the beginning of your admin step, sacrifice each other creature you control. That's not nice. On top of that, discard 2 cards, sacrifice it, choose target opponent, return it to the battlefield under that player's control at the beginning of next end step. So essentially, yeah, the player can get out of it, okay? Don't give it to a player that has like a full hand ready to do it if you don't have a hand ready to go as well. But yeah, if you give this to someone and they don't have an option to actually discard those cards, they're going to be out their entire army, which is quite nice. Next up, Shinka Gatekeeper again, kind of like that Jackal Pup, dealt damage, deals that much damage to you. So again, same thing, send it into danger. I mean, you don't do that. You force an opponent to send it into danger. Really dangerous, though. Let's talk about a scenario with Soul Gorger Org. A 6/6 trampling nightmare org. Yes, it is a nightmare. It comes into play, you lose all but 1 life. Oh, no. When it leaves play, you gain life, your life lost when it came into play. So, this is one that, yes, is not a guaranteed take someone out. It puts someone right on the precipice of getting taken out. And there are scenarios, of course, where you're like, okay, does anyone else have any kind of, like, draining effect, damaging effect, whatever it is, or just one? Like, Again, if you have one opponent that literally has just like an aristocrat style deck and they got blood artists in play and a sacrifice out, you're like, hey, if I take that player down to 1, can you just like take them out? They're like, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, let's take them out. See, no matter what that player's life total is, if it's 1,000, it doesn't matter. You take them down to 1, that player takes them out. They're gone. They're gone out of nowhere with this. And of course, it's not just up to other players. You can do this yourself. We're going to talk about some ways to make sure we can activate our commander multiple times in a turn. You send this to a player, and you also send like a Jackal Pup to that player. They're gone. Player's going to block that Jackal Pup, and they are gone because they're at 1 and then gone. Or if you put Ragged Veins on this too or whatnot. There are plenty of ways to take players out with this, but also Eater of Days. This is not an automatic take a player out, but basically that player's game is over. It's a 9/8 Leviathan with flying and trample for 4 mana. Wow, that's amazing. Oh, there's a downside. Comes into play, you skip your next 2 turns. You are giving someone a creature that makes them skip 2 turns. Rude and amazing. And on top of that, they have to swing this creature at someone else. So they're going to be hitting someone else pretty hard while also losing 2 turns. Double the effect for you. Double the dastardly deed for you. Absolutely lovely. Thrashing Mudspawn. I remember this card from my childhood. It's terrible. 4/4 for 5. You can morph it if you really want to. Dealt damage, you lose that much life. So again, same thing as the Filthy Cur. Yeah, you are just going to be losing life. So yeah, we got all these options of all these bad things to give players, and yet there is one that, in my opinion, stands above the rest. And that would be our next tactic, the golden pig of the deck, and that is Inverter of Truth. The truth is this. No, it is that. A 6/6 Eldrazi with flying for 4 mana. And it also has Devoid, which doesn't really matter all that much in this scenario. But what does matter is, when it enters the battlefield, exile cards from your library face down, then shuffle all cards from your graveyard in your library. You just got rid of someone's library. Yay. They do technically get another library if they have a graveyard. Like, if they don't have a graveyard, they're just out of cards. They're out of cards completely. They're completely out of cards. Oh no. But also on top of that, sure, if they have like 5 cards in their graveyard, okay, sure, you got your 5 cards, whatever, your Evolving Wilds in there, whatever it is. Okay, you got 5 cards. Good luck winning with those cards left, or you're not getting milled out since then. Yeah, this is a card that is basically like a one-shot KO just by donating this to a player. This is basically game over for that player. They are probably not going to have anything they can do about it. And here's the thing. We've got some ways to ensure that we can do this and the other things as well to multiple players. Yeah, again, if we just go with this scenario with our commander, you activate. At the end, you do exile it. Yeah. But it doesn't say you can't maybe try to stop it from exiling. Let's talk about that. So, next tactic, Dirty Deeds. AC/DC, anyone? Bedevil. Yeah, destroy target artifact, creature, planeswalker at instant speed. That is the key in this. Instant speed is huge because sometimes the creatures we want to take out are the ones that we donated. We want to be like, hey, here you go. Take this Inverter of Truth. And the player's like, oh, gosh, my library is gone. Oh, no, what do I do? Oh, no, oh, no. It's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just swing with the creature. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, okay. Swing. And then, you know what? I don't want you to have that anymore. I'm going to destroy it. So then you destroy it. And all of a sudden, it's in the graveyard. You activate your commander again next time. And then that next unlucky player loses their library, too. Yay! So, yeah, these aren't just like one-use creatures. You can use them multiple times. Putrefy, destroy target artifact or creature again. Key is you can destroy a creature as well. So being flexible is nice. Status and statue. First of all, target creature gets +1 against Death Touch on left turn. That can just be nice. Like if someone's blocking the creature that is swinging at them that you donated, give that creature Death Touch. If it wasn't going to take it out, now it does. On top of that, though, statue is destroy target artifact, creature, or enchantment. So again, very flexible and can take out creatures. Windgrace's Judgment. For any of your opponents, destroy target non-land permanent player controls. So just destroy 3 things, including, again, potentially a creature if you need to. Eldrazi Ravager, though. Speaking of things that can just destroy people, again, it's not always the massive downside for the player that we're giving, that player. We're not giving them a creature with massive downside sometimes. We give them a creature that can decimate other players for us. And Eldrazi can definitely do that. Have Annihilator, a 6/6 with Annihilator 1. So yeah, have your opponent actually swing with Annihilator, take some things out. You can also cycle this to get in the graveyard itself. Being a Bala again, basically Annihilator 2, but yeah, technically not really. It's exiling the permanents instead of sacrificing them, which is actually better, really. But still, next up, Breaker of Armies. Break an entire army by having this 10/8 swing at a player, and this has to be blocked by all creatures. So again, you give this to a player, and it's essentially kind of like a mini board wipe against that other player, which also ensures that this is going to hit the graveyard again as long as that opponent had like 8 total power to take this out, so you can do it again, which is lovely. Illumog's Crusher 8/8 with Annihilator 2. Again, Annihilator is very lovely, very disgusting. Artisan of Kozilek, also disgusting. If you do cast this, you can reanimate a creature if you want to. If not, it's still a 10/9 with Annihilator 2. Hand of Emrakul, yeah, it's a 7/7 Annihilator 1. Again, very helpful. Again, these Annihilators, once you get them to play yourself, they can be very, very devastating for you. But of course, yeah, giving them to an opponent to swing at someone else, that can be equally as devastating for you. Next up, some repeatable effects that can really help us out when it comes to getting those creatures that we get into play for our opponents, that we thankfully, lovingly devoted to them. You're welcome. It is yours. We donated to. It's yours. I want it back, though, okay, in my graveyard. Royal Assassin, tap short target tap creature. Again, we give it to a player. They have to attack with it. It swings. Cool. All right, it's tapped. All right, cool. You did the thing. All right, destroyed. Go back to my graveyard so I can utilize you again. Keeper of the Dead. Pay a black mana, tap, destroy target non-black creature. Place ability. Only have a creature controller at least 2 fewer creature cards in their graveyard than you have in yours. This deck is all about getting creatures in the graveyard. Chances are very, very likely that we've got a lot of creatures in our graveyard, and that opponent does not. So we get to destroy that creature and say, come back to the graveyard. Salva's Assassin, just a good removal spell as it is, repeatable, but also can really help us with our own creatures. Tap destroy target creature which shares a color with the most common color among all permanents or is tied for the most common. Creature destroyed this way can't regenerate. So again, another potential way to take out a creature and bring it back into the fold of our graveyard to bring back out to donate to another player. But next up, next tactic, Hustle Up, because our commander does have a tap ability, and we want to utilize that right away. We want to be able to get our commander down and say, you know what, right now we are activating, well, not right now, but on that player's turn, we're activating. It has to be on an opponent's turn. So we give them that creature, and then we say, you know what, you're welcome. We gave it to you quicker. Rising of the Day, creature control of haste, and also your legendary creature gets +1/+0. That's nice, but the important thing again is that haste. Fires of Yavimaya, creature control of haste. That's what we care about. We can also sacrifice to pump a creature, which I guess can come in handy, but mostly the haste is what we care about. This one, though, Bitter Reunion, ETBs. You may discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. That's quite nice, being able to, again, discard certain cards, like, you know, those creatures that we ourselves don't want to play, but we want in our graveyard. And then also draw some cards too, some great card advantage, but also pay 1, sacrifice it, creature control, gain haste on turn. A great way to say, you know what, I'd like to activate my commander right now. Even though it's summoning sick, I'd like to activate. Cool, let's do just that. Moving on to the next tactic on repeat, because yeah, we can actually give our opponents multiple mean things in a turn, or, you know, multiple opponents with each trip on the table. Jandor's Saddlebags, pay 3, tap, untap target creature. This is basically like, hey, do an extra donation to an opponent. It can be that same opponent, again, where we give them that Soul Gorger Org and the Jackal Pup at the same time. So they're like, oh gosh, now I've got 1 life, and I have to swing with a creature that loses me life. Oh no, I'm done for. And you're like, yes, you are. Or, again, we like give 1 player an Inverter of Truth, then take it out with a Royal Assassin, and then give the next player Inverter of Truth. Untapping is great. We also have Seeker of Skybreak, which can just simply tap to untap target creature. Or Sereth the Viper's Fang, other tap creature control of Death Touch. That's nice. Also on top of that, other untapped creature control of Hexproof. Also very nice, because again, our commander can be protected while it's untapped. On top of that, though, pay 1, tap, untap an target creature or land you control. So yeah, being able to untap our commander can be absolutely huge. Again, an extra donation effect for us. Moving on, a lot of loot. I really like this art, really cool. I always find it funny when, I just off the side real quick, Moxfield shows off the card, at least for me, that is the cheapest. This is the cheapest version of Faithless Looting, and I love that art. It's really cool. Sorcery for a single red mana. Draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards. You can flash it back again. Again, ditching cards. Getting them out of our hand or our graveyard can be a massive thing for this deck. Get those creatures that you don't want anymore. Cathartic Union, discard 2, draw 3. Throw a Possibility, discard 1, draw 2. You're going to see a theme here. Tormenting Voice, basically the exact same thing, but at sorcery speed. Magus of the Wheel. Essentially, everyone is going to discard their hand and then draw 7 cards. Cool. Get some new cards, but also get creatures into your graveyard. Sea Spoils, discard 1, draw 2, also get a treasure token. Big Score, even more so. Discard 1, draw 2, make 2 treasure tokens. Pirate's Pillage, exact same thing, but at 4 mana. I mean, that's at 4 mana as well. Sorcery Speed is what I meant to say. Unexpected Windfall, exact same thing, but with 2 red in that cost. There's a lot of these effects now. Regardless, Ox of Agonis, this is an interesting one as well. ETB, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. This can be very good for us, but on top of that, keep in mind, this could be something we could donate to a player as well. If we're playing against Simic player over there that's got like 14 cards in their hand, you're like, I'll donate this to you. Here you go. Discard your hand, draw 3. Come back down to a normal amount of cards, okay? But also you can escape this if you actually want to keep using it from your own graveyard as well, so keep that in mind. But yeah, this can be a way to like take out someone's hand. So there you go. Or if like something like, if someone like mass bounce things like Cyclonic Rift or whatnot, and you're like, that player has like really scary things in their hand right now, let's just get it all gone and get them 3 new cards. Dragon Mage as well. Whenever deals counter to a player, each player discards their hand, then draws 7 cards. This can be a good forced wheel. Essentially, again, you like donate this to someone, they've got to swing. If there's no other flying blockers out there, all of a sudden everyone is wheeling, and you get to replace your own hand. Finally, though, with our last tactic, take the town. First up, there's Wayfarer's Bauble, of course. Pay 2 tap, sacrifice, get a base land, into play tapped. Moving on, we've got Rampant Growth, the OG ramp. Go get a basic into play tap for 2 mana. Edge of Autumn does the exact same thing if we got 4 fewer lands. Later in the game, though, cycle it away by sacrificing a land. Farseek will get us one of our 2 other basics that's not a force into play tapped. I do say it because it's a budget deck, and I'm not running, Alpha Duels or anything like that. Fertile Ground, a great turn 2 play as well. Enchant one of our lands and taps for 1 extra mana. Sakura Tribe-Elder, basically a Rampant Growth on a body. Sacrifice this poor Sakura Tribe-Elder to go get a basic. Cultivate, gonna get us 2 lands. 1 goes into play tapped, 1 goes into our hand. Grow from the Ashes, if you kick it, you get 2 lands into play untapped, 2 basics, I should say. If not, just 1, but still a very good flexible card. Harrow, sacrifice 1 land, go get 2 basics in play untapped at instant speed. Search for Tomorrow, an amazing turn 1 play. Suspend 2 for a single green mana, get a basic into play untapped. And then finally, Migration Path. Cycle it away if you need to. If not, basically Explosive Vegetation, 2 lands for 4 mana. But as this episode is coming to a close, it's time for me to hear from you in the comments below. So let me know what your thoughts are on this deck. Is it effectively brutal enough for you? Could it be even more brutal? How would you make it more brutal? Are you interested in this deck? Are your friends scared that you're going to build this deck? Let me know in the comments below. Check out that deck list link in the description below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.